my god, this episode! You guys! Okay. Episode 11 of Season 3. Ceremonies of Dark and Light. I think it was something like that. Oh my god! Okay. No, I'm not going to recover. I will never recover from this. Okay, oh my god, this episode. So, basically... Okay. So in this episode, they deal with some more Night Watch people. They know there's some Night Watch people left on the station they haven't been able to find. Well, these people kidnap Delenn along with some other Minbari ship captain, and they're like, well, we're going to kill them if you don't. Well, I don't know. Basically, they're trying to frame Sheridan to make it look like his actions got Delenn killed, so that then the Minbari will take their ships away, but they'll be angry at Sheridan about it. Well, of course, this doesn't exactly work out as planned, and everything turns out fine for the good guys. Like, for once. But, yeah, that happened. Who cares? I'm talking about the rest of the stuff that happened in this episode. Okay. So, basically, Delenn and Lennier want to do the ceremony of rebirth. And they're like, guys, we should do the ceremony of rebirth. You should all come. And everyone's like, we don't want to come to your ceremony. Like, there were all these scenes of people refusing to come to their ceremony. Like, basically, G'Kar and Londo and Marcus didn't want to come. And it was just sort of funny. You have the two of them standing there, but it's our ceremony of rebirth, and it's, like, important stuff. And they're just like, no. I have, like, stuff to do. I have to, like, vacuum. Anyway, I have to, like, pumice my feet. Anyway, that wasn't really... But, okay, so the idea of the ceremony is you're supposed to give up something that was important to you, and then you're supposed to make a confession and tell everyone something you've never told anyone before. And I guess... And so... So what it sort of starts... with Delenn is all like, no, seriously, Marcus, why do you have such a problem with the idea of the ceremony? Because, like, you were on, you've hung out with Minbari, you probably know how to do it and stuff. And he's like, well, I don't have anything left. And so she's like, well, the thing you need to give up is your grief and anger at losing all of these people and your guilt that you survived. Because, like, he lost his brother and the place he was from and all of this stuff because he wasn't... and he blames himself for it somewhat, because he just didn't listen when his brother tried to warn him about stuff. So okay, fine, I like you, Marcus. You've grown on me sufficiently that I can say that now. Mainly because he beats up this entire room of people because, okay, so Delenn gets kidnapped right after he has this scene with her, and he's like, I'm not letting another person I care about, like, get killed or whatever. And so he beats up this entire room of people, and it's pretty great. And it's also pretty funny. Well, okay, at first it's, like, really intense and dramatic, but then one of the guys wakes up and he's all like, you know what I've always said, nothing works, it's something about how the best way to get something out of a person is a soft voice and a 2x4. Works better than just the soft voice. I was like, you. So I was like, alright, fine. So that was kind of the beginning. Like, he has a bit of a confession to Delenn. And then Lennier has a confession which he makes to Marcus. Like, in lieu of doing the actual ceremony, like, they kind of have... They're like, well, it doesn't look like it's going to happen, but... So, okay, Lennier's confession... Well, I thought it was going to be the most intense one, but of course it wasn't. But is that he loves Delenn, but not like he's not like in love with her. Okay, I guess he describes it as like something higher than that. I guess essentially, basically, he's decided he's going to spend his entire life. I don't know how to put it exactly. I guess serving her. It sounds a little weird, but. I think that was the gist. And okay, so I'm reading the Brothers Karamazov, and so normally I'm not such a huge dork. No, that's a lie. But when he said that, I started thinking about the character. I'm only like that far through the book. Not even quite half. So who knows what's going to happen later, but there's this character, Alexei, who is a monk in training or something, and he has this devotion to this elder father, Zosima. So that was kind of what I started thinking of, like, I was like, oh, it's like, so it was just this weird thing, because I know that Delenn and Lennier are supposed to be, religious caste, Minbari or whatever, but I never really thought of them in that light so often. But in this one, okay, is it at the end scene where everyone is kind of confessing things to Delenn? It felt like this weird confessional, and I was like, oh my god, she's like, it felt like a confessional, that's kind of like what it was, because each of them comes into the room, and presumably the other people can't hear what they're saying, although I don't know, maybe they can, because they were all like outside in the other room, but I liked that they all came in and gave her their uniforms, and I love the fact that she made them new uniforms. They were, okay, first of all, they were awesome looking. Secondly, of course, it implies that she kind of predicted this was going to happen. Thirdly, it implies that somehow she was able to get their exact sizes, which was just kind of weird. I don't know, I just thought it was really dear. Of course, I'm putting off talking about their confessions. Alright, let's talk about their confessions. So Sheridan starts, oh my god, I don't even know. Fuck. Okay, see, the thing is that she got injured because one of the, they have this whole plan, and they go and rescue them. And then the Night Watch people, one of them throws a knife at Sheridan, and he doesn't get out of, and Delenn sees, and he doesn't get out of the way in time, and she's yelling at him, so she gets in the way. And she gets hit by the knife, and she's fine. Or she will be fine. But he, flips out, and then he goes and, punches the guy in the face. Okay, so I just have to recommend this for the, that Tumblr I follow that I can't remember what it's called. It's crowning moment of face punch or something, I don't even know. But basically, it's great. You should check it out. It records a whole bunch of just amazing face punches in various fiction. And I think that this should count. Because they're fighting, but all he's really doing is punching the guy in the face. It doesn't get any more intricate than that. And then he's just like, I've had enough of you, basically, and he punches him in the face, and the guy gets knocked out, and it's like, so just kind of vent for fury. It was beautiful. And then his confession to Delenn, the thing he's never told anyone, basically, is that he doesn't say he's in love with her, but essentially it's close enough. That she is really friggin' important, and that that she's a really big part of his life, and he can't imagine her not being around. And I was like, oh my, I was making really ridiculous noises. It was really stupid. I was just like, all over the place. The other confessions were interesting too, though. Garibaldi's was that he's afraid of what would happen if he, okay, this is the one I don't get as much. That he's always afraid of what would happen if he let go, I think that's what it was. So I guess he's afraid of himself in a way. So that was kind of interesting. I don't really know what to do with that at the moment. Ivanova's confession was that she might have loved Talia, which is interesting, given the closest the show got to hinting that they might have perhaps been in a relationship at some point was Talia hanging out in her, in the last episode Talia was friggin' in. Ivanova, she had nowhere to stay, and Ivanova was like, you could stay at my place. And then they were hanging out in their dressing gowns, but I'm sorry, that does not constitute a relationship show. I'm not gonna let you go back and pretend you were doing better than you were. You suck. Okay, anyway, it's okay. It's okay. Just saying. Okay, and then Franklin's was that his confession was that he thinks he has a problem. And he doesn't specify, but he means the stims, I suppose. So, I kind of love that she's just lying there okay. I really liked that they were well, we can't really do the ceremony proper, but we can come and we can tell you things. I don't know. Fuck. This episode was great. It didn't have the giant world-building shifts of insanity like some of the previous ones that I've been freaking out over did, but it had a lot of character, and Lennier. Okay, I fucking can't. Whatever. Oh yeah, it was fun. The other day I was talking to my sister on the phone, and I was telling her about Babylon 5, which she's never watched, and she probably never will, but she was like, oh man, I should just make you watch a random episode of Voyager, and you can make me watch a random episode of Babylon 5. And I was like, dude, any episode of Babylon 5, I would have to explain to you everything that had happened previously, so it wouldn't really work. But then I was like, you know what, if Delenn and Sheridan ever get together, I will make you watch that episode without any contextual explanation. I don't know if this counts. It probably doesn't, but who knows, it might be the closest I get. Okay, anyway, it was lovely. It was absolutely lovely, and I loved it. And I have wound down. I'm going to eat something now. We have some time. So, it's beautiful. One hopes that the one that I watch tomorrow will blow my mind, just as this one did. Well, today on Babylon 5, episode 12, a late delivery from Avalon. So, that was weird. I guess they decided, since they'd had like 11 episodes in a row that were incredibly intense, they needed to have the one that was a little bit less so. But of course, on Babylon 5, you can't actually like take a friggin' breather. You have to do something completely insane, even when you're trying to do something not insane, perhaps. Well, anyway, this episode is bonkers. Basically, this guy comes on the station, and he's convinced that he is Arthur, King of the Britons. Like, who comes up with this shit? Well, anyway, it turns out he's actually, like, some guy who was in Earth Force and was one of the people who started the Minbari War, Earth-Minbari War. Because when they first saw their first Minbari ship, it had its gun ports open, which for the Minbari is a gesture of respect. But, of course, the Earth ship freaked out a little bit. The captain ordered people to fire, and he was one of the people who fired. So he's got this, and then he fought in the rest of the war, and he's got this big guilt about it. And so he's gone into, so it's like the 15th anniversary of the beginning of the war. And he's gotten into this, like, weird, I don't know, dissociative fugue or something, where he's decided he's Arthur. And yeah, it was just kind of like, what? I don't know. It was alright. It was entertaining, but I wasn't tearing my face off. I wasn't, like, freaking out. It wasn't the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. So it was kind of, I kind of hoped for something more intense. So I was a little bit disappointed, I guess. But I did like, I mean, it was a little bit more comedic, I guess. I think it's just more of a breather, because there was this subplot about Garibaldi trying to get this package from the post office without having to pay what he saw as exorbitant fee for it. And I love the bit at the beginning where he tells the guy what's in the package, and he's like, it's like anchovies and mozzarella and pepperoni, and he's like, it's like he's trying to seduce him with Italian food, and it almost works. And then the guy's like, nope, because it didn't almost work. He was just kidding. And I was like, oh no, you got so close, it's so far. So that was funny. But yeah, so Arthur, King of the Britons, is like wandering around the station, and he gets into Down Below, and he gets into a fight with a bunch of kind of jerk gangsters, like some gang of like brigands. They're not brigands, that's not quite the right word, but assholes who steal things, beat people up. And it's kind of great because G'Kar happens to be there, and he witnesses part of this, and he comes to help Arthur, and then Arthur knights him. So G'Kar is now a knight of the Round Table, which is pretty great. But and Marcus is in this a lot again, and as the one British person. And then, like, so there was just a lot of, I guess, Arthur lore in this, which I don't know that much about. I mean, all I really know about King Arthur is a few of the stories. Like, it's just been forever since I read any of them. And I read Gawain and the Green Knight not that long ago, I guess. Like, but still, like, 5 years. But yeah. Gross. Why am I reminding myself how long it's been since I was a freshman in college? Anyway, but yeah, I read Gawain and the Green Knight, but so I got the joke about the Green Knight. Um, but yeah, I mean, I just don't know enough about all the different knights and like, I mean, I know the kind of central like ending of the legend where he's supposed to come again. You know, Arthur, the once and future king. And they didn't bring up the thing where something about him being like reincarnated into like a raven or something, but they didn't bring that up. But yeah. So basically, eventually they found out who he really is, right? And Franklin tells him, even though Marcus thinks it's a bad idea. God, Marcus is just all over the place in the show recently. Like, they're like, let's gonna really make this guy a character, and I actually quite like him now, I guess, because he's got all these layers, you know, as we get to know him more. And in this one, he kind of has a, you know, why we should just let him be Arthur, let him be whoever he wants. He doesn't need to know who he really is, you know. But Franklin is like, no, I'm gonna tell him. And then it seems, and then he kind of goes into a, I don't know what they call it, but he just goes into a state where he's just not reacting to anything. And then they figure out that he must have come to the station in an effort to get rid of his guilt and his pain through the sort of the symbolic giving of Excalibur to the Lady of the Lake. And they're like, well, who is that? Well, Delenn. They decided that Delenn is the Lady of the Lake, which does make sense in a way, I guess. And so he gives her the sword, and then after that, Jakar arranges for him to go to Narn, Homeworld, and help with the resistance, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, I just got some laughs out of it, really. I guess that was kind of the point, and I wish it had been more intense face-tearing, but alas, it was not. And there was one good joke at the end. Like, I don't know enough about the individual knights to know much about like how Marcus was kind of being like, I'm gonna assign all of the characters knights, and he's like, and I don't know enough about them, but he did say that he thinks and he's like, I'm Sir Galahad, obviously, because I am without sin. Like, you. Yeah, I think Franklin was Percival, Sheridan was Arthur, Ivanova was Gawain. I think that was all they really figured out. Well, and they said, I think we both know who Mordred is. I guess Londo? I don't know. Anyway. I mean, because Mordred is kind of the bad guy, right? But then there's also sort of the awkward, wait, isn't he actually Arthur's son / nephew because he had a child with his half-sister, ? Maybe it's just different legends. I don't know. Whatever. I was saying far too much about this because I pretty much just watched it and was like, oh, well, fine. So, whatever. And I was going to mention it's the 4th of July today, just so that you, that I speak to from the past, can have some conception of when I'm filming these things, I guess. But it's kind of going along, and here we are, keeping on, and I won't be home until probably very early October. So, hi, future. Anyway, goodbye. Hey, okay, so, new episode today, Sic Transit Vir. So it came to my attention looking at the episode list that I might be a little bit out of order, that this one was actually supposed to come before the one with King Arthur. What are those words I have to say? But it doesn't really matter because neither of them were greatly plot significant. I mean, if this had happened with some other episode, I would have been like, what the hell is happening? But this is alright. Okay, so this was sort of the fluffier comedy thing that I was kind of expecting after, you know, episodes and episodes of intensity. Essentially, well, this is the one where it turns out Vir's been helping Narn, and then, like, also this Centauri woman whose name I didn't catch, is supposed to be his wife because of the whole way they arrange marriages, which he was, like, weirdly surprised about. I was like, this is your planet, bro. You should probably know these things happen. But anyway, she's like, oh my god, she was a psycho. It was so great. Like, it was horrifying, but it was also just super great. Because she was, like, really sweet and cute, and then she's just like, look, I brought you a Narn, and you can kill him. And I was like, oh my god. So yeah, poor Vir. Vir, God, I love him. So it turns out he's helped a good 2,000 or so Narns escape to other worlds. And well, now that they found out about that, he no longer gets to go to Minbar and hang out, which was that kind of added authority was how he was able to do this. Although Ivanova has decided to continue his work under this kind of like fake Centauri name that he made up, and and she photoshops a picture of Sheridan as a Centauri. It was just really funny. It was just a funny episode, I guess. I mean, you know, when they weren't talking about genocide. Oh God, there was this scene. Okay, Londo is a huge dick face. Like, I think we've established this. But there was this scene where he's got like some sort of demented mutant spider thing in his room, and he's trying to kill it. God, it was so great. He was like throwing glasses at it, and he finally impales the thing on his like little dagger. Oh my God, that was really funny. I was like, yeah, that's pretty much me. I mean, okay, if I found a spider like that big, I'd freak the fuck out. But I mean, like, other spiders is fine. But when there's a wasp, I like become a ninja. I'm like, this wasp is going to die. You know, so the part where he's like stabbing it with his sword thing and just yelling die over and over. I was like, yeah, pretty much. So that was just really funny. And oh God, and Ivanova, poor Ivanova. So for some ungodly reason, Veer decides that he needs to ask somebody about like, oh God, I don't even know. About intimate relationships, I guess. And so, okay, see, Babylon 5, we had a pact that I realized you didn't agree to, but still, that was you were never going to mention Centauri 6 creepy whatever the fuck again, but no, you did it. You brought it up again. Thank you, Jesus. I felt like Ivanova, who was just like, God. But it was pretty funny. Poor Ivanova. Oh, and then I guess the only other thing that really happened was Sheridan and Delenn had dinner, and it was like really cute, especially because he cooked some sort of stupid centaur, you know, like Minbari food thing, and then she was like, and she dumped all the salt and pepper on it, and was like, okay, now I can eat it. It's just really funny. Oh God. Ugh. They're sweet. But anyway, I'm glad that was actually like followed up on somewhat, because I was going to go crazy. But it's okay now. Garibaldi wasn't even in this, I'm pretty sure, which makes me really sad because I love him. But whatever. So yeah, this had a lot of laughs, and I enjoyed it. And Veer, you are such a good person. It's tragic, really, that you have to be a Centauri. Oh, and the fact that he doesn't just sort of like, you know, completely break it off with his fiancée, I guess is what she is, at the end, because, of course, he thinks she's completely insane, which she kind of is. But he still, he says at the end, he says something about how, like, he thinks that just some of her, you know, her ideas and her thoughts need to be changed, you know, and he's like, you can be rehabilitated. And she was like, they say that about you. And it's like, oh God. So, yeah, I don't know much to say about this one, but I enjoyed it. It was good times. And Latin title. Yeah. I wonder if Veer is anything in Latin. I don't think it is, but weird then it would be. Oh, and because I can't help it, I did take Latin for 2 semesters, and I want to show off that I know that sic transit means thus passes, or so it passes. And in this case, so Veer passes. I don't know. I don't know what they're trying to say exactly with that, but okay. Veer is now a planet. Good old Veer. I just feel kind of stupid because I thought he was so annoying in the pilot or whatever, like the first few episodes. I was like, oh, you're irritating. But now he's seriously, I love him. He is the greatest. So, until next time. Alright, episode 14, Ship of Tears. So this one, holy crap, guys. So I actually tried to watch this like 2 days ago, but the video hadn't loaded all the way, but it lied to me and told me it did, so I was just sitting here like, And then I tried to do it again and failed again, but this time I finally got it to load all the way. For real. Just finished watching it. Sorry, I'm paranoid. My dad's going to come back and ruin everything, and I'm trying to make the video. But anyway, so it was just really good. Like, Bester shows up again, fucking Bester, and he's like, oh, guys, I know about this shipment of weapons the Shadow people are, the Shadows are supposed to bring to this one place, and we're going to go find them. And they're like, oh, okay. So then they capture the ship, but instead of the weapons they expected, it's full of Psy-Corps people, like, who have run away or whatever, but it's full of all these telepaths, and they're like, holy crap, telepaths, what the hell? And of course, I predicted this 10 minutes before the episode got to it, was that they plugged the telepaths into their ships and get them to fly the ship. And so they have this telepath lady that they wake up. And her name's Carolyn. And she basically, like, wraps herself in this creepy cocoon. It's like, she takes over MedLab and she wraps herself in this creepy cocoon of, like, wires and shit and is, like, hanging from the ceiling. Like, in this really creepy imitation kind of the guy who's plugged into the planet. And so they figure out that she's kind of trying to plug herself into the station to control it, like they were having them plug themselves into the ships to control it. So, of course, now officially I want somebody to, at some point, plug into the station and control it. Because I just love that idea. And because my favorite episode of Firefly is the one where River pretends to be the ship. Okay. So, wow. Also, Bester is apparently capable of human feeling. Who knew? Oh, and he's our ally now. How exciting. And then Garibaldi is all like, so, I was reading the Book of Jaquan, and, like, I think they're scared of telepaths because of this thing. And it was super cool, and I'm excited. Also, now, G'Kar is officially part of their little, like, group. And Bester has kids, which I didn't realize. Well, okay, he has a kid, like a kid and a half. And, which I didn't realize that, for some reason, was weird to me. I was like, no. Yeah, guys. It just got, like, really intense, especially toward the ending. It was just like, and then Garibaldi discovers this thing, and they're like, telepaths. And I was just like, really? You're ending the episode on this really intense note? Holy crap, I gotta tune in next week. So, I have the next episode waiting. I'm gonna go nuts, you guys. The show was so great. Also, this morning, well, I talked about this on my Tumblr, but, I'll talk about it here on this. This is just really stupid. This morning, I was like, oh, I'm gonna start reading a new book. And so I have this, series of, come here. This book of classic 50s sci-fi novels. And one of them is by a certain Alfred Bester. And I was like, isn't Bester's name Alfred? Like, it's a stupid name. Every time I say it, it sounds less like a name. But I'm like, isn't his name Alfred Bester? What the fuck? And then somebody else on Tumblr was like, yeah, he's legitimately named after the sci-fi author. I was like, what? Okay. And now I want to know why. Why him? It's like a troll baby name. I wish I had a last name that was shared by some cool fictional character or whatever. Not that I don't actually want kids, but if I had one, I would want to give it a troll baby name, like, and name it after some fictional character. Oh well. Whatever. That's really all I had to say. I don't even know how to react to all of this because, like, stuff happened and it was awesome, but it's mostly just kind of like, I want to know where this goes, and I want someone to plug themselves into the station and control it. So that's my prediction. Also, I was kind of freaking out because, like, Ivanova has latent telepathic powers. What if that becomes useful sometime later? I just think it would be really cool if she could somehow... I guess she doesn't have very much, but I think it would be cool if she could somehow expand her abilities and, like, do something. And So anyway, the revelation that they're plugging telepaths into their ships, and the idea that, they're frightened also of telepaths, and that this basically the same thing happened 1,000 years ago on Narn. Which doesn't 1,000 years seem like that long? Like, I mean, it is a long time, obviously, but in the scheme of universal things, it doesn't seem like that long. It seems like the shadows should have been hidden for 10,000 years, Something a little bit more intense. Instead, it's like the humans were fucking around in the Dark Ages while all of this was happening. Oh, this was kind of fun to consider. Thank goodness they didn't think we were worth messing with, or we would have been messed up. Okay, so that's fun. Also, I'm waiting for the dust to friggin' turn G'Kar into a telepath. Why hasn't this happened yet, you guys? Okay, you guys. Also, whoever wrote this show, the people who wrote this show are nuts. Like, wow. Okay, that's enough for today. Hey, okay. Episode 15, Interludes and Examinations. Holy crap. Everything happened in this episode. And, like, I thought nothing was going to happen in this episode because it was just kind of like, whatever, we're hanging out with some other plots now. I don't even know. So, like, okay, the highlight of this episode for me was the scene where Sheridan goes to Kosh and yells at him and is basically just like, dude, you have been a cryptic son of a bitch for 3 years. You have been not really doing anything. You need to, like, step it up and actually win us one victory so we can try and put together this whole thing so I can fight this stupid war that you told me to fight. You know, basically this whole thing, and it's like super great. And Kosh kind of knocks him around a bit, but finally agrees. And so the Vorlons fly in, and they win a battle with the Shadows. But then fucking Mordon is on the station again, right, ruining everything. And he and his shadow dudes go in and they kill Kosh. And it's like, what? And while Kosh is dying, Sheridan is asleep, and Kosh sends him this dream, like, telepathic connection, I guess, kind of like he did with G'Kar earlier this season. And he comes to him in the form of his dad and starts talking to him about, like, you know, you were right, we needed to do this, but I was just afraid because I knew what would happen. And it was like, what? And they brought up Zod-Doom again to remind us that if Sheridan goes there, he will die. The last episode of the season is called Zod-Doom. I'm not going to be able to survive it. It's going to kill me. it's going to kill me. If you kill off Sheridan, we will have words, and you will not enjoy it. Let's see what else. So, okay, then Londo was like, I'm actually happy for once and forever because Adira is coming to visit. And Adira was like that Centauri woman that he fell for in the first season randomly, like, and who hasn't been mentioned since. But anyway, so she's going to come and visit him. But then, of course, fucking Mordin finds out about it. And, of course, Mordin isn't happy because Rifa stopped talking to him, and he knows it was because of Londo. And so, of course, he's going to try to do something. And, oh, my God, they have this confrontation. And Londo's all like, yeah, there's nothing you can do to me that hasn't been done already. And I was like, Londo, shut the fuck up. He's going to come up with something. So, of course, he killed Adira. But he made it look like Rifa did it. And then now Londo was like, all right, I don't even care anymore. You can hang out with me again, and I want revenge. And the rest of the galaxy can burn. And I was like, stop, you asshole. Oh, Londo, no. Oh, like, I think of all the phrases I utter the most while watching the show, oh, Londo, no. It's probably the most often uttered. Oh, God. And then there's also a culmination of the Dr. Franklin Stims subplot thing. Sorry. Yeah, the Stims thing. So basically, Franklin has kind of a freak out in the med lab. Garibaldi witnesses this and is finally like, okay, dude, something has been up for a while, and I seriously think that you're probably, like, addicted to Stims or something, and I'm giving you one last chance to tell me, or I'm going to, like, investigate it. I'm going to be in tons of trouble. So basically, finally, it actually ends with Franklin resigning as chief medical officer or whatever. And so I don't know what's going to happen, man. I hope the new chief medical officer person is like that lady who we were hanging out with because she was cool. In this episode, she was super cool. I don't remember her name, but I liked her. So yeah, those were the big things that happened in this episode. Lots of death and, like, craziness. Now, the next 2 episodes is a 2-parter. So yeah, once I get to that, that's going to be insane. I got the feeling the rest of the season is just going to be like insanity, and I'm going to completely lose it. So that's what's going to happen. So, oh my goodness. So, I'm just really excited. I love the show. It's so good.